talk, so I guess whoever wants to be first can start off.
You're on the end, you wanna say? Take it away.
I guess so, alright. You guys don't know me, my name's Lee Holmes, I'm the acting facility manager at Canyon Ferry right now. We had a different summer recreation season this year with all the inspection stations and whatnot, and we ironed some of that stuff out. We still got some more wrinkles to go. Matter of fact, I just got off the phone with a girl from FWP. We gotta have a meeting on how we're gonna reapproach decon stations next year.
Hey Lee, sorry, not in decon, but cleaning. Can we get that word changed? Cause it's just hot water, it's 140-degree hot water.
That's not my word though, that's theirs.
I know I'm gonna have the same request of FWP here in just a minute.
That's their word.
But, yeah, so I am gonna ride this horse till the very end.
Unfortunately, I'll probably have to contact, unless is Ron here, no, Ron's not here.
Yeah, I know you're not in charge of this, but this
Anyways,
is important.
they wanna put one inside of the silos area instead of renting or leasing the space they were using. So I have to look at that, an area we could put it in there, and if it's only for a year or whatever, then fine. And the one on the north end at the visitor center, look for a place to relocate that one, but that'll come over the winter months here. They had dogs down here last week, both at Silos and Yacht Basin, for the places they got the same hits last year. She said they got a couple hits, but all they could find was a crawdad, so she's thinking it was that vice and actual. They couldn't find any adult mussels or anything. So she basically said there's nothing, no hits this year. I know of no hits through sampling, and I'll let FWP
Yeah,
speak.
I'm not aware of any.
No hits on sampling. I called to make sure of that about a month ago. They had nothing over the summer, either here or Tiber. And since we were suspect, we will have to stay on a monitoring regime, I guess, for 3 years. And after that, they will declare us mussel free, maybe. Tiber, since they were declared a definite hit at one time with veligers and everything, they'll have to be on it for 5 years before they're declared mussel free. But that's what we'll be up against for at least for the next 2 years, is the stations out there and getting boats inspected, local boater program, all that, I'm sure. And like I said, FWP will have more on that than I will. I just kind of know the basics of it. We'll continue to support them in their endeavor to do that. Improvements, we made some more improvements at White Earth this year, which is in your county. Some trees and sprinkler system up there. It's going to take, half of our lifetimes for them trees to get some decent size, some decent shade, but they are there. And then we'll continue with other locations on the northern part of the lake, starting next spring, I think, or this fall, I'm not sure yet. And Goose Bay did pretty good this year. They did pretty well for their first full season under operation. Last year was it was chaotic to get everything set up in time for Canada. There was no advertising and all that, and they didn't do very good. But this year they did pretty well. Things improved. They will have fuel there next year. However, won't be on the water. It'll be up on the loop on the land up by the store. So eventually they want to work on getting fuel down to the water, and if that happens in a year from now or 2 years, I'm not sure. But they do have a fuel tank there, and they will be able to pump fuel next year. You just have to have your boat out of the water to get it. What else? I think that's about it. While you're your flap grant, I'm not sure, you guys gonna try to get that paved next year, that Goose Bay Road, or the year after?
It's on target for the 18th unless that's changed with the feds.
2018?
Mhm.
Okay, well, they should. Yeah, I don't know where to even start checking on that, but, okay, it's FY 2018, RFY?
I think it's spring of 18, so it'd be
Spring of
both,
18? Wow, okay.
both of our,
Yeah, it'll be
18s?
FY 18, yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause ours just started 2 weeks ago. So, okay. That'll be a major improvement, and, well, we've talked about other flap grants you can get for either, silos or Hellgate or White Earth. And we'll continue to do upkeep and road maintenance, on the campground. We got Indian Road pretty good now, we got Cottonwood looking pretty good. Our portion of Hellgate, our portion of White Earth will be, well, that's gonna take a couple more years to get those straightened out good. Same way with, which one I was thinking about, White Earth, Hellgate, yeah, those two. It'll take a couple years to get them good and solid, but we'll keep working at it. And that's about all I got.
The
Okay.
tank at Goose Bay, Lee, in the water, is that a regulatory issue or is that a monetary issue?
Well, both. She'll have to go through jump through the hoops for getting all the certification from EPA and the blessing from everybody. And she just submitted and got approved through us an SPCC, which is a Spill Prevention Control Program for the one she has now. But when you got fuel on top of the water, there's even more, a whole laundry list of things you gotta abide by. And Kim's in the Yacht Basin, they got fuel in the water, and they're, they had to go through all these hoops years ago. So it's just her doing the same thing, and monetary too, there's an expense to it to run a line down there and a pumping station. Yeah, there is a big expense to that too.
Okay, so it's just a process that takes
Yeah, that's
time.
all, that's it, it just takes time.
Okay, thanks.
She'll get it though, and I think that'll be about the only fuel on the southern end of the lake that's on the water, yeah.
Yeah,
She's gonna work on it though, I'm not sure when it's gonna happen.
okay,
It'll happen.
thank you.
Yep,
Thank you, Lee.
yep.
Yes, moving down the line, just kind of to follow up, with some of what Lee was talking about in regard to the AIS inspection stations. I believe those all closed yesterday, 10/15 for the year. If folks need, get a boat inspected or anything like that, cleaned or anything, they can still do that at the regional offices for the rest of the year. I don't know what whenever water temperatures warm up next spring and warrant, they'll open those back up. Like I say, I'm not really involved with that or anything like that, but part of the wildlife end, we're still in the process of doing our Pond 3 water management drawdown. We initiated that in August after completing the EA and decision notice. Probably got maybe around 85% of the surface area dry. We probably won't get it completely dry before the winter, but hopefully we can get the remaining water levels low enough that we can achieve a carp kill over winter. We'll continue with that drawdown effort through next spring until reservoir elevations start coming up to the point that we start getting subsurface seep through the dikes and everything, start to refill the reservoir. Then we'll turn the water in from the canal and start filling it. It'll obviously 350, 370 surface acres, whatever it is. It'll take a while to get it full again next fall or whatever and stuff like that. But like I say, it's an ongoing process. We did earlier this summer, we completed a new cooperative assistance agreement with the Bureau of Reclamation for another 5 years that helps assist with the management of the wildlife management area, provide some additional funding and everything like that. We did get that completed. Also completed an EA decision notice in regard to renewing our 6 agricultural leases and the 1 B-yard lease on the Canyon Ferry WMA. Those were also just approved at the FWP Commission meeting here last week. We'll be working on finalizing language and terms and everything like that in the next couple months with the leasees. On that, we're in our biennial season setting process for the 2018-19 season. Here locally, we'll be looking at liberalizing elk regulations to increase, attempt to try to increase antlerless elk harvest in several of the local hunting districts. Those will kind of stay tuned through those. Those all, any recommendation gets approved at the December FWP Commission meeting as tentative, and then there's a public comment process through December, end of December and January. We'll have public meetings across the state, and people will be able to provide comments via internet on those. And of course, with the other big thing is our general rifle season opens Saturday. We've obviously, waterfowl's been open for a couple weeks. Pheasant, antelope, like say the deer elk general rifle season opens up Saturday. The youth deer hunt is Thursday and Friday of this week. So there'll be some youth hunters out and everything like that. So, but hopefully, looks like at least it'll be cool weather at least here initially and everything like that. So hopefully get some more moisture through the hunting season. I think so. That's all I've got, unless somebody's got any questions or anything like that.
Alan, right? I have a question. So, what are you guys projecting as far as carp kill on Pond 3?
Pond 3, if we can get the water levels low enough, we're hoping to get a complete kill on it or whatever. It's basically if we can get the water level low enough of ice and everything, we'll basically deplete them of oxygen. When we did the drawdown a couple of years ago in Pond 4, we were able to achieve what we thought was a complete carp kill. And then as part of the project, we're also we installed a fish barrier on the intake coming from the river on the west canal that goes into Pond 4. We'll be looking at putting an adult fish barrier, and we'll be looking to do the same on the intake in the Pond 3 coming off the east canal. We just logistically to try to keep fry and everything out. It's just we get so much sediment and debris and everything coming down the system. It's impossible to keep them clean. But like I say, we figure if we can at least keep the adults out, that'll buy us a few more extra years before we'd have to do another drawdown or whatever or stuff like that. But like I say, hopefully, I'm going to wander out hopefully next week, kind of get an idea how deep how much water's, how deep it is or whatever. That'll at least give us a better idea. Like I say, I think if I can get it down to, maybe at the most 1.5 feet or so deep in the remaining pools, that if we get Mother Nature cooperates and gives us a pretty, some good cold snaps through the winter, let's see if we can, hopefully we can get a good kill and everything like that. But
So what do you, is there like a projection of what you thinking you're killing as far as amount of fish or?
not really. Like I say, the goal is to try to kill everything and everything like that. But like I say, well, that was just going to depend on, like I say, what we get for environmental conditions and how successful we are getting, water levels low enough and everything. So time will tell on that.
Because I guess the reason why, and I didn't even know that was going on, but there's an individual who has a fishing permit for carp, and he's not allowed to fish on this end of the lake as far as his permit. And so, was there any consideration of those who were trying to?
Yeah, I guess we did not realize there was anybody had that and everything, but yeah, that never came up under scope,
Yeah, because he wasn't allowed, because there's
the
more on this end of the lake than there is on the other end of the lake.
Oh, okay.
And his permit does not allow him to do anything with carp on this end.
Okay.
But you're gonna go and.
Yeah, part of it is, at this point, that issue wasn't identified as part of the EA and the decision notice, so at this point, it's probably too late or something. But yeah,
Right, yeah, okay, I was just
I
gonna.
didn't realize there was anybody even doing that or anything like that, so, and stuff. So, good to know for future reference.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going, I mean, it looked like to me it was it could be possibly a good time for doing whatever he wants to do with carp, especially since you're trying to
Yeah,
get.
unfortunately, there's no real way, I'm assuming he does that from boat.
Well, that's the,
Yeah, right now, you could not get a boat into Pond 3 or whatever, they're
Oh,
just
okay.
the way the waters, it's, the boat access that waterfowl hunters use, it's been high and dry for basically 2 months now or whatever and stuff like that. It's one of the shallower spots or whatever and stuff like that, so yeah, there's no way they could, and trying to wade out there, I mean, it's literally
Right.
1.5 foot of muck, it's like you just basically
Yeah.
stick.
right, I can see
Everything
that.
like that, so, but.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't talked, I don't know if the guy, I haven't talked to him for quite a while, so I don't know if it, but,
Yeah,
okay.
and everything, so, okay, well, good for future reference and everything, but thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Adam, one thing to please take back though is, I didn't receive a single complaint about the cleaning stations at Silos or at Goose Bay. I know they were going up further, but I didn't receive any complaints. We did take our boat through, and it was easy, it was quick, everybody was having a good time.
Good.
So I think for something that could have been a big hardship economically on the county for our part of Canyon Fair, you guys did a spot-on job.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not really involved with that, that's all kind of on the fishery side or whatever, so I'll pass that on to Ron Spoon or whatever, like I say, fisheries on the only thing we did end up doing is, on the management area for waterfowl season, we did have signs up, for anybody that they would need to get their boats inspected if they were going into another body of water, because obviously the water that supplies the ponds is the same water that goes into the reservoir and everything like that, so there was the potential and everything like that, so we had those signs up. They were taken down this morning or whatever, so like say, since the check stations are now gone, but the signs that directed folks to go to one of the inspection stations, so, but since those are no longer operating, it's, we don't want folks trying to go find something that isn't there or anything like that, so.
Just, I did forget something. Been working with Adam here, and we are doing projects in the wildlife management area also that, one is the dike stabilization. That'll take course over the next 2 years. Purchasing a couple thousand yards of riprap stations, storing it out there, and the following year coming back through and actually doing the work with excavators and everything. That's kind of out of sight, out of mind of the general public, but that'll be going on, and then the canal cleaning, we're
Yeah, they
doing that.
cleaned the West Canal.
Yeah, we had excavators back in there in the West Canal, and we'll continue to do that every year, just keep moving down the canals and start on the east side and do it, and get the guys from up north that work at Tiber come down with their big equipment and do that. They're pretty good at it, so. But that'll trickle on for the next couple of years or so.
And another thing, we've been, again this summer treated both the canals for aquatic invasives. The West Canal, we get both Eurasian water milfoil and curly leaf pondweed in it, obviously everything coming down the river. And the East Canal at this point, all we've got is curly leaf or whatever, but we continue to monitor that. But like I say, at this point, we're scheduled for next year probably to do another herbicide, aquatic herbicide on that. We did an EA for it a couple years ago and everything like that, but like I say, we expect those efforts to continue. It's kind of, and everything, so. Along with lots of weed control on the WMA. Unfortunately, with like I say, being at the bottom of the river, they're jumping in, when it floods or whatever, we just get weed seed everywhere and everything else, so. That's all I got.
A couple of real quick questions. So, back to the antlerless cow tags, the elk tags. Are you proposing to keep those as is right now for the next round? The antlerless and Breltine for the units here nearby? Are you gonna change that?
For what's this now?
You guys are,
For 380, are you talking about?
not the elk horns, the belts.
Uh-huh.
So you guys are in your biannual
Yep.
review, and you, last season was the first season you added antlerless into some of these
Yeah,
units?
we'll continue on the Big Belt side, we'll continue with the existing season types. The change will be, we're making some changes to the shoulder, what's called the shoulder season.
That was my next question.
Yeah, in hunting district 390, last year and this year, the area was open on private land only as part of the shoulder season. We're hoping to at least get state school trust land, DNRC land, and BLM land open as part of that shoulder season. 391, we're kicking around the potential for some sort of shoulder season in at least part of the district. We haven't made a final determination yet on what we want to do there. And then in 380, we're looking at actually allowing some general antlerless opportunity off national forest land in
Okay.
north and south portions potentially.
So the gist of it is you're actually looking to expand more.
Yeah, we're like I say,
Shoulders.
we're looking at trying to basically get more elk killed.
Okay. Okay. I just, from a recreation perspective, it's just a good stroke of business. It's just more and more people, so just from a management perspective.
We have no, we continue to be over objective or have elk distribution issues
Okay.
across the area and stuff like that, so.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Roy Barkley, the Recreation Program Manager for the Helena and Townsend Ranger Districts. Just wanted to talk briefly about our upcoming hunting season and the push to get our signage up to speed, up to snuff. Our weekend presence out on the forest. We'll have weekend patrols throughout hunting season, making contacts with the public, distributing free maps that we now have free maps for the entire Helena and Townsend Ranger District. It's just a simple little newspaper map with all the most updated information. Hunting season is probably one of our busiest times of the year on the National Forest, and I think we're geared up. We're getting geared up to make a presence out there and make some public contacts. I don't know if this is the right venue, but I did have some questions in regards to the silos management plan. Would that be a question for this group, or?
I think so. We've
Yeah,
got
we
a lot of the players here.
You'll
Yeah.
part of that.
So, just, if you don't have any other questions on hunting season and whatnot, I didn't know if the management plan that you guys were developing for the silos area, is that being done in-house, or are you doing that with a contractor, writing the plan?
Well, the county has
Both.
gone out with a grant and gotten a contractor to start the process.
Okay.
And, yeah, where we're at now, we're kind of in the early stages of planning. And then we won't get to a master plan. By the end of the year, they're supposed to have this preliminary plan to us. And then, from there, the county, us, community and everything have to go into the master planning stages, and then they figure out what we want to tackle first. I think we've kind of figured a lot of those things out, what we want to tackle first. But then when you go, there's a lot of things going on in master planning, because then you got to figure out, okay, when do we want to do this? Where's the funding coming from? Can we afford to do it all? For one thing, maybe we need to break off chunks and do them one year after another or something like that. Do it in stages. But we're getting to that point. Like I said, here in December, we should have the final preliminary plans put together, and then have a few more meetings, figure out where we want to take that, and go from there.
So would I contact you, Lee, then, to get a review of that plan, or?
You can contact me, you can
Either
contact.
one of us, actually. We've had 3 public meetings,
Mhm.
kind of open houses, and now we've got RPA. They are the contractor, and they're putting together kind of a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 with an economic impact and a financial plan as well for each of the different phases. So yeah, between Lee and I, we can both get a hold of you for any future meetings, and
Okay.
certainly get you some of the notes from the past meetings. There's minutes, there's maps, we'll get you everything we have.
There's even, there were surveys done on online surveys and stuff.
Mhm.
And there's, you know, you get all the answers in there from different people and different groups and stuff that they do.
And the reason I ask is not wanting to influence this plan, but I am carrying forward with a similar plan through the Gates of the Mountains area. And just didn't want something, a separate plan to be button heads with what is being proposed here. So
Absolutely.
There,
I'd like to be a seamless transition throughout.
yeah, well, the good thing, you know, the good thing about whoever goes through it first, you give them lessons learned too. And we could give lessons learned to you or whatever, say avoid these pitfalls, or, you know, this is probably a better way to look at this. Well, Gates of the Mountains, though, you know, you're talking, I think you're talking two different animals, silos and Gates of the Mountains.
It
In
is.
some ways.
But there should be some similarities.
Are you talking about the recreational river stuff associated with the Gates of the Mountain?
Yep.
Okay.
But there's also, what's the scale of analysis for the silos work then? Is it just kind of focusing around that recreational use at the silos?
Yes.
Okay. Because
Yep.
there's some other connected, I mean, part of the question, or for me too, is that I mean, we definitely over the years have seen increased use on national forest, kind of in the Magpie Avalanche country. People are dispersed camping up there, coming on down to the lake for the day, hanging out, boating, doing their thing, and then they go back up there, which is kind of neat because they get a real diverse recreation opportunity. They're riding ATVs on a Saturday and on their boat the next day or whatever. So I was kind of curious too if the silos planning's looking at other, you know, the whole reservoir, I guess. But it's just kind of
No,
focused on the
it's
silos.
just, this
Right.
is just for silos.
Yeah.
And the reason being, a lot of, like what you just stated, silos are unique, pretty unique from the other camping areas that we have around Canyon Ferry. Each one has its own little quirks and nuances and everything. And silos isn't unlike that. It has its own, and it has primarily, it has its own contingency of people that want to go there. And if, just me within a year of being here, I realized there are people that camp at Magpie or Joe Bonner, and they will not camp anywhere else. They will not. Absolutely, and it almost gets down to the point where they have to have the same camping spot every time they're there. I mean, that's how solidified people are into their choice of camping around Canyon Ferry. They just know, I'm going there, and I'll go there every year, and that's the way it is. So, yeah, you try to balance that. You know, some want the trees, some want the shade, some want the dispersed camping, like down there at Duck Creek or Confederate. They don't want to be bothered with camp hosts or anything. And yeah, it's up to the choosing of each individual, I guess. But this concentrates just on the silos.
That's all I have.
Roy, do you work at all with Lewis and Clark County on with their recreation department?
We do.
All right. Can I get a card before you leave today?
I can jot down my contact info.
That'd be awesome.
You bet.
All right, thank you. There's been some ideas proposed, and I'd like to see if how much of that you're aware of. Just kind of pick your brain if I could.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Corey?
So I'll keep cruising through some other Forest Service updates. I was just here not too long ago talking about stuff, so it'll be a little bit of a repeat, but we are implementing the Holloway salvage project up on Holloway Road there, North Fork Deep Creek area. August of last year, 2016, we had a big wind event. You guys probably remember the big thunderstorm and all the damage to crops, the big hailstorm, whatever. Well, that tracked right up into the Holloway. And we're salvaging about 150 acres of Doug fir that got blown over in that event. And so the ground-based operations are occurring as we speak. There's road maintenance that's pretty much already done. They're finishing up the Holloways. So we had the local, it's RY as the contractor, and then they have subcontractors, of course. And so they're doing road work, and they've done the road package for the timber sale, but because they were there, we took advantage of that and had them do some road work out the rest of the Holloway, out to the Neals property, out towards Ray Creek. So it's good, get the road buttoned up a little bit more. And so they're almost done with that. They're doing it last week, and then the weather came in on Friday, so he'll probably finish it sometime this week. But we will start hauling maybe even this week, if not next week. So you'll see truck.
They'll be working up there obviously during the hunting season.
That is correct.
Just during the week, or will they be operating on the weekends as well? Or?
As of now, they are not restricted on the weekends. So yes.
But the road is
And you'll have signs up indicating,
Yes.
obviously there'll be loud
Yep,
trucks.
there's signs up there right now, yeah. So it's, you know, part of it, the Holloway project itself is pretty low down on the national forest, if you will, and the roads are open anyways, they're already open to the public.
Will they be primarily using the Lippert Gulch Road, or will they be coming in the North Fork?
I believe RY's route will be Lippert.
Will be what, Lippert?
Will be Lippert, yeah. That's the same haul route they use for Captain Gulch.
So if I go up there sometime, I know which way not to go.
Yeah, that's a good road. I mean, I don't think we had. I mean, this veg work compared to Cabin Gulch is like
Yeah.
completely. You know, they're going to be done in a few months probably. You know, Cabin Gulch was multiple years, and so I don't recall ever having conflict with Cabin Gulch hauling through there either. But Lippert Gulch. So heads up. There will be signs up. I know they're doing the ground-based work right now, and RY is trying to looking for some skyline capacity. But the contract, I think the contract's got them going through until May of next year. But if they find the skyline capacity in their winter logging, it won't take them very long. It's 150 acres, it's not that much. But we're pretty excited about it because big part of the reason was some forest health reasons. And when you have that amount of blowdown and that type of Doug fir, you're gonna really attract the Doug fir beetle. So we were in there last Friday, I was out last Thursday with an entomologist of ours, and the logs are decked up right now, getting ready to go in a truck. If you flip the bark over, they're just loaded with Doug fir beetle. The Doug fir beetle has attacked those stressed trees, and so we're now harvesting them and getting them out of here, which is what we wanted to do because they fly in spring. And so we're hoping to use that almost like a trap, like we're gonna absorb or attract. We knew that they're gonna come no matter what. And now we're gonna try to remove a lot of the beetles and remove a lot of the damaged stressed trees to try to minimize that impact. So, yeah, it's a good thing. We're moving forward on it. You'll see some activity if you head that direction. Questions on that? Okay.
No appeals,
No. Not yet. We're going for it. So, I think you guys may have gotten the scoping letter already, but we are scoping for the A&P revision in the South Belts, deep, grassy, timber, and dry allotments. It's gonna be more likely an EA, environmental assessment. And our goal is to kind of work on that through the winter, early spring, and have a decision out sometime next year. But did you guys get a scoping letter for that? Okay, perfect. So if you have any questions, let me know. We are gonna look at doing some prescribed fire this fall with the conditions. The way the weather's gone, it's either too windy or too wet. You know, we've gotten a lot of snow and a lot of moisture already this fall, and then when it dries out, it's just been too windy for us to do some of our prescribed fire. But if we get the windows, we're gonna do them. Some of them will be up in Cabin Gulch and the belts, and we have a few opportunities in the Elkhorn as well. So you'll see a press release on that if we do it. So, the main topic, I guess, for a little bit of discussion is the continued discussion on the Johnny Crow litigation. So we have a veg project, wildlife enhancement project that we were litigated on, and thank you as always for your guys' support because it's been very critical in my opinion. So the Elkhorn Restoration Committee, they do want to file an amicus brief, and we've talked about that. And I don't want to speak for them, but they are kind of in a need for an attorney. But I mean, the capacity and the legalities of it, it's really more for an attorney to do some of that work. So they're kind of trying to figure out what options they may or may not have. I did talk with Matt Arno just last week to try to see what from a state perspective or the county. And I think there's a couple options. The Elkhorn Restoration Committee could apply for funds from the state because this DNRC's got funding available for these type of projects where they could get funding and hire basically their own attorney to do that work for them. Or county could seek those funds and provide support from your own options, so your own county attorney, and you could seek for funds to pay. Let's say Corey's going to help the ERC with their amicus brief on behalf of the county because you guys, it sounds like you want to file on amicus brief as well. Not that I want to speak for you, but I mean, so one option is Corey could do that work on behalf of the Elkhorn Restoration Committee, and do that collaborative approach that we've talked about, as well with Jefferson County and then all the other partners that were involved with this. And then the county could seek funds from the state as well to help pay their attorney fees. So I just kind of tossed that out for something to chew on. I talked to the Elkhorn Restoration Committee last week, and they're figuring out their options as well. I think the easiest option would be if a county would be interested in ponying up their attorney, for lack of better words, and their attorney could then work with the partners on that project to file an amicus brief. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I kind of tossed that out as some things to chew on.
How many hours do you think would be involved? Just a guess from your,
Don't know, but I
okay.
can find out.
If you would, I think that would really help us and Corey as well, if we were to talk to him, to have him be able to have an idea of what
Sure.
kind of commitment this is.
Okay.
He's got a pretty full plate,
Yeah, copy that.
yeah.
Yep.
But I think if we could at least with the ask have a
Okay.
guesstimation
Yep.
on hours, that would really be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with all the details that go into it. I reviewed the Stonewall project up on the Lincoln District, had a similar process, a collaborative group in the county and RY and all these partners all filed together an amicus brief. And so there's, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, I guess. There's quite a few examples out there, but I just know, talking to our Office of Government Counsel and DOJ, they've really advised that ERC try to find an attorney. It'd probably just be easier for them because of the legalities of it. So I'll look into it a little bit more, find out what the workload may be,
Okay,
and get back to
sure.
you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just something to chew on for now.
Yeah. What kind of a timeline are we looking at, Corey?
So, that's my next point, actually.
Okay.
So, we just filed the administrative record last Friday. We kind of go into a month back and forth with the litigants. So they'll file a brief, then we'll file a brief, and those are usually staggered about a month apart. And then I think if I looked at the schedule, that puts us into February. I think it goes November, December, January, February. There's 4 of them. And then probably March is when we'd actually go into some sort of a court process if the courts want to take it on at the moment. In regard to the amicus brief, my understanding is that the Elkhorn Restoration Committee will actually have to motion for an amicus brief to the judge, and the judge will either grant them permission to do that or deny them. And so they can ask for that, my understanding is at any time, as long as they're not, as long as we're still doing the briefing back and forth in the next 4 months, my understanding is that ERC can ask for a motion to file an amicus brief within that time frame. But
Okay,
once we start the actual court process, then the actual hearings back and forth, then I don't think they can file an amicus brief anymore, or motion for one.
okay.
But that's part of that actually is part of the need that we need an attorney, is because the ERC struggles a little bit with, I mean, they don't have an attorney, they're forest experts and things of that nature, or you know, stakeholders, things of that nature, and they just don't have an attorney to help answer some of those questions.
Did Matt have a suggestion on what he thought the best way to go was?
Those 2 options.
Okay.
I think we talked and said, boy, you know, the counties each have attorneys, and if there's a way to, I mean, I know Corey's workload's completely maxed, and so I know you probably have to change your program of work or whatever, but the fact that you already had an attorney in place, and Matt said the county can request for funds from us to pay for their legal fees. So that was one option, but you know, there's other groups that have hired their own attorneys that have done almost the exact same thing, so I think they're both very feasible. So,
All right, yeah, I think we should work on this.
any more comments on that one, questions? Okay. Let's see, so Roy did cover hunting, that's coming up, it's been archery season now. We've had, I think, 2 gates ripped out, I think, on Townsend District at least. That was a couple weeks ago, we haven't really seen anything else since, so, but rifle season's always pretty busy, and so we're gearing up for that.
I'll throw this out to you guys. I know weekends where the bulk of the hunters out, but I believe most of the illegal activity happens during the week
Sure.
when nobody else is around.
Yep.
So it might be good to you know, maybe not have the general, you know, maybe have the general staff out on the weekends, but have the actual LEOs out
Yep.
off and on during the week.
Yep.
Whatever, stuff like that, so.
We're gonna try to get those type of patrols set up during the week where we can, so. The last things I've got are just kind of more broad forest updates. As always, we are continuing to work on our forest plan revision. Where we're at right now is we sent it to the regional office for review, and then we're gonna continue to work with the Washington office before we release the actual draft EIS. So the plan is to release that in February. And then it's a 90-day comment period. It's very important, I mean, mark your calendars for whenever that comes out, because it's, again, a very important document, it guides what we do on forest. And then we will have an open house sometime within that 90-day time period, so probably March of next year, somewhere in there, maybe early April. Try to get it released and then give a good 4 to 6 weeks for people to review it, or at least take a look at it. And then we'll have an open house sometime in the middle of that, so. And then the only other kind of greater good across the forest, and it's still tied to litigation, but we do have quite a bit of litigation workload right now in our forest management. You guys are probably aware, but we've got the Stonewall Vegetation Project. The decision was signed from a NEPA perspective earlier this year. It was